welcome back to another preview here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel. I'm Sammy, and today we're looking ahead to Saturday's tea time game, Fulham versus West Ham back at Craven Cottage. Fulham looking to bounce back after a disappointing defeat up at Old Trafford, and we face a West Ham side that have been resurgent in the past few weeks. 3 wins on the spin. It's going to be difficult for Fulham, but it marks the start of an important period for Fulham. 4 winnable games, all in a row, and Fulham will look to use those to propel themselves out of the relegation zone. Here to talk all things West Ham is Dan Lawless from the famous West Ham Fan TV. Dan, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, it's going great, mate, and obviously enjoying my football finally for a bit. So, yeah, I've got a bit of a smile on my face at the moment, which is long overdue.
So, Dan, the last time that me and you met, we met at the TalkSport studios, and it was beginning of the season, and they had me and you on together to kind of round up our transfer window and do a bit of a prediction of how things would go. I think both of us had lofty ambitions considering our outlay in the summer. West Ham had a bit of a difficult start to life under Pellegrini, but it's been better recently. You must be confident of a 4th straight victory on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I never, with West Ham, I never take anything for granted. I always go into a new game slightly nervous, no matter what the opposition is doing, because we've seen situations where, you know, we've gone and beaten Man United and the next time lost to, like, the team that's struggling for relegation. But, you know, I'm feeling a bit more optimistic than I would have a few weeks ago. Obviously, going back to that talks, I remember that talks appearance, Jason Cundy was giving me a hard time over Pellegrini, going, oh, you know, he's not the sort of guy, he's been out of it and he's not the guy to keep someone up. I said, you know, for me, I knew it was going to take time. And even now, I'm not feeling like it's where it should be. You know, I don't think we're going to still have that full consistency we'll get. But like I said, completely new manager, new style of play, 11 new players, that most of them playing in the squad. You know, so we've had all these changes, and now hopefully it's finally starting to adapt.
What's been the reason, or who have been the key players behind this resurgence for West Ham from an outside perspective? I've been looking at Felipe Anderson, who's been brilliant, but also you seem to have shored up that defence, and Balbuena and Diop really seem to be a solid rock for you guys at the back, the kind of rock that I wish we had.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Felipe Anderson is one who, I mean, £42 million we paid for him. As you know, you guys spent a lot of money. We spent a lot of money. He was our record transfer signing, but he got off to a sort of a fairly slow start at West Ham. And I think when you pay that money, a lot of people was expecting him to just click really quickly. But, I mean, he's a Brazilian who's then coming from spending a lot of time in the Italian league. It can take a long time to adapt, but now he's getting a bit stronger on the ball. He's realising not to hold on to the ball so long. Like in the Italian league, he could just stroll halfway up the pitch unchallenged. Now it's not like that in the Premier League. So now you can see he's getting used to it, and he's becoming our main man. You know, and he's I think he's up there as our top goal scorer at the moment. So, you know, he's becoming that guy who's finally could fill in the shoes of Dimitri Payet, you know, that everyone sort of likes to compare to. And like I said, Diop and Balbuena, very, very good. However, I think our weakness is set pieces, though. As good as they've been, they're great at, you know, when, you know, backs to the wall defending, last man, you know, putting in good tackles. But still, we're so static on set pieces. So that's, I think, definitely a place that you can get us. On this
Saturday. Season, I feel like you have improved the home form somewhat. Obviously, for the last couple of seasons, that's been the big topic of debate as your move to the Olympic Stadium, and it's taken the focus a lot of from what's on the pitch. But what's your away form been like this season? You've picked up a couple of big results, particularly the Newcastle one a few weeks ago, and also that Everton one back towards the beginning of the season was a massive result for you guys. So how's the away form been?
I mean, it has started to improve. I think Newcastle, the stat was that it was our first clean sheet away this season. Obviously, we had the Everton game, and the rest it's been mostly picking up draws and losses apart from that. I think now we are starting to play a bit better away from home. I mean, the Newcastle game shocked me completely. You know, St James's Park, we have not had, you know, hardly any joy at St James's Park. It's always a difficult place for us to go. And for us to go there and win 3-0, it just shows a lot of the change in mentality that's starting to come into place. So hopefully we continue that away from and to pick up some points that way.
What's the style of play been like under Manuel Pellegrini?
You know what? It's been a breath of fresh air. It's been, obviously, we've come from David Moyes, who, no matter what happened, he'd play defensive football. Whether we was playing against Man United or we was playing against whoever it was, I can't remember, we were struggling for relegation, like Sunderland, for example. And obviously he was just trying to keep the side up and keep onto his reputation. But it's now we've seen sort of free-flowing attacking football, quick passing. When we're on the break, we're breaking quickly. It's been just a joy to watch. We've had to suffer some really bad football over the years, and now we're sort of getting back to that really just, even when we're winning as well, even 3-0 up, we're still attacking it. And I think that's where we have conceded goals, because it's like we don't, we're more concerned about outscoring the opposition rather than getting one goal and shoring it up at the back.
There's been a few links between West Ham and Fulham in the past month. There was rumours last season about Tom Kearney and even Slavisa Kanovic making their way over to the Olympic Stadium. The only player that actually did make his way over is Ryan Fredericks. I'd like to start off by talking about him. He had a torrid time in that opening day defeat at Liverpool, and he's kind of been a bit of a bit part player for you ever since. What do West Ham fans make of Ryan Fredericks? Because at the time when you signed him, you were all very excited because you thought he was going to inject that pace into your side that you'd severely lacked, but hasn't quite worked out for him as maybe you guys and certainly him personally would have hoped.
It's sort of 50-50. Some have written him off. I haven't, because for several reasons. I mean, that Liverpool game was a tough one to come into on that debut, and he's a guy who's coming from the Championship. We've put him into this brand new setup. The whole team was pretty much poor. So rather than, like, when you take a player from the Championship, you want him to come up to a team that's stable, is not going through as many changes. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So, we saw a few glimpses of what he could be, but now he's sort of been injured, and I don't think he's been able to get that consistent run. I mean, Zabaleta as well has just been brilliant. I don't know how he does it at his age, but he's in brilliance. So we do need Fredericks to come back and get fit soon, because we're starting to have to play Antonio at right back for Zabaleta. But I mean, look, you guys obviously saw something in him. You guys, when he played for you lot, and we must have seen something to sign him. So I'm not giving up on him. He's still young. I think he definitely deserves a chance. But I think we are probably looking to sign another right back in January, I've heard.
I mean, there's been some interesting games between West Ham and Fulham down the years. There's not really a rivalry at all between us. It's East London, West London. People can call it a London derby, and it always adds a bit of spice when it is the London derby, but there is no real animosity between the two sides. What are your favourite memories from the match down the years? It's been one that's been fairly balanced results-wise from my memory.
Yeah, I mean, it has been. There's no games that really stand out to me. I mean, obviously, I think one memory though that does stand out to me was when you guys actually got Scott Parker, who was my favourite West Ham player. I think he's still in your coaching
very
team,
much so.
I mean, it wasn't not so much of a match, but it was just remembering that. Obviously, he went to Spurs, which upset a lot of West Ham fans. But then sort of when he went to Fulham and he sort of finished his career at Fulham, I think a lot of people sort of did wish him on. It was sort of what could have been. He was a fantastic player for us and a leader as well. So I think that the fact that you guys have got him in your coaching staff, I think is going to be very good for you guys, because he has got that leadership ability and he has got the respect of players. So I think that's quite. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about Scott Parker and him being in your coaching staff?
Well, that was the thing I was just about to say. I like the fact he's in the coaching staff, and I've had the pleasure of meeting Scott a couple of times, and his football intelligence is really, really good. He does just seem to have somewhat of a curse though for Fulham, because when he signed for us, it was the season we went down and we got relegated that season, and then we were pretty terrible in the 2 years in the Championship he was with us. As soon as he went away, Fulham became really good in the Championship, and we had 2 successful seasons in a row, and then he's come back into the coaching fold this season, and all of a sudden we seem to be poor again. So rightly or wrongly, I think a few people are blaming the curse of Scott Parker, which I don't really think is his fault at all. I think it's just wrong place, wrong time. What have you made of Fulham this season? Obviously West Ham have had their times back in the Championship and come back up to the Premier League. We've been struggling to adapt to this league. We're now on our second coach of the season. From an outside point of view, what are you making of the situation at Fulham?
Yeah, I've been very surprised. I mean, look, I wasn't expecting like a lot of pundits. You spent a lot of money, but I wasn't expecting it to click straight away and you guys to be suddenly, in the top 10 and challenging for the Europa League places like this season. But I thought you guys would be pretty stable. So to see how it's going, I mean, and I quite liked your old manager. I can't pronounce his name.
Slavisa Jokanovic, it's all good.
Yes, yeah. And I did quite like it. I did feel bad for him, but it's kind of understandable, the results. But yeah, it is a bit of a shock just to see how it hasn't clicked. And you've got Ranieri, and sometimes when you get a new manager, you don't always get that quick new manager bounce where things just happen. Yeah. And I think as well, some of the fixtures hasn't helped you out. You had, I think, was it his first game was Man United, or was that his second game?
His first. Well, he's had Chelsea and Man United away in his first 4 fixtures. So yeah, he's not exactly had the easiest run of games. Yeah,
so I think it may take him time. However it ended at Leicester, I think that a lot of people look at, Leicester. His last season at Leicester, they did quite poor in the league. However, he got them to the Champions League. Was it the quarter-final?
Yeah, it was quarters.
I think it was the quarter-final, yeah. So he is a good manager. I think it would take time. Hopefully he has time, though, because it is a tough league. And now, teams are picking up points. I hope he can do it because, it's always nice to have another London club in the league. So, yeah, I am surprised, as probably you are as well, about how Fulham have been.
Just before I get your prediction, where do you think the key battles are in the game on Saturday? Of course, Fulham going to be kind of scrapping for their lives. You're part of a kind of run of 4 fixtures for us, which are massively important. We've been on a run of games for maybe the past couple of months where we might get an easy game, but then it's a hard game. But for here, it's 4 teams in the bottom half of the league, whilst, there's teams like yourselves and Wolves who have had fine recent runs of form, still more winnable games for us than usual, but you guys, you're going to be on real top confidence. So kind of where do you see this game being won and lost?
Well, I think the midfield is somewhere that's been, in the past few games, despite us actually being quite good and scoring, up front we've been really good, attacking, scoring goals, but midfield has been a little bit of a weakness. We've had Noble, who I think, I think he can be hit and miss, but it seems to be, when we had the Palace game, they seem to just run straight through our midfield, which we saw quite often. And a lot of the time you rely on Declan Rice to come back and make some last-minute saves and some tackles. So I think that's definitely a place he'll get us. I think where it will be, where the way we play, we will be quite open at the back. So I think it'll be a very end-to-end game. So I think, you'll have our attack and your defence, your attack, our defence. I think it will be very much a back-and-forth game. It all depends on who can finish their chances.
I guess we'll probably jinx it now, but it sounds like it might be an open one with a few goals for the neutral. Just finally, Dan, your prediction for the game?
Prediction for the game, I'm going to go ahead and say we'll get another 3-2 victory.
Well,
being optimistic.
As I said, entertaining for the neutral, but probably not what Fulham fans want to hear right now. Make sure you check out West Ham Fan TV if you don't already. They're kind of YouTube royalty, really. But if you have any West Ham fan mates that don't follow them, especially I've seen a few of their post-match pint videos that they do, which is one of the places that we got the idea to do the exact same things, if we're being brutally honest. So if you have any West Ham family or friends, make sure they check out Dan's channel. It's a pretty big one in the YouTube world. Dan, thank you for chatting to Fulhamish.
Thank you for having me, guys. And apart from this Saturday, I wish you best of luck for the rest of the season.
Come on, Fulham.